So in my last video I talked about the difference between cinema and Netflix, and about how one is declining and one is growing, about how that affects our habits of consumption and is changing the content itself to align with the interest of what amuses an interrupted state of mind, meaning moments often supersede story in the now most popular films shown in cinemas. This is why I chose to come at it from the angle of Martin Scorsese's Marvel criticism, since Marvel movies are the perfect example to showcase what the majority of people who go to the cinema are interested in, and with a lot of these films it seems like moments are a greater priority for the ones in charge of these productions rather than story, or at least that the story is partially being sacrificed to make room for a number of moments that on paper is sure to satisfy their returning fans. After building on the momentum of these moments through more than 20 films, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has obviously created a standard of what is expected in their films, as they need to maintain their audience as well as trying to grow the number of participants in their cinematic universe. This is at least what seems to be like their goal, considering the general bigger equals better mentality that Disney holds so dearly onto. I mean, Disney is clearly more than anything focused on gaining ownership over everything, and very much succeeding in their pursuit of this. The new Star Wars trilogy is a great example of this, because if Disney's true intentions behind buying Lucasfilms were to rightfully complete and do justice to the story, to the world of Star Wars after George Lucas went nuts and decided to self-destruct,
I may have gone too far in a few places.
they would not end up with these films. No, they will only continue to make them Star Wars films if there's a major financial profit linked to it. I know the film industry is a business at the end of the day, but it's always been a business of risk-taking, because making great movies and profiting is not an easy task. It's quite a miracle. The Lord of the Rings trilogy was quite a miracle. This Star Wars? Nah. What did the Lord of the Rings trilogy have that this lacks? A story. Everything in those movies are to serve this great epic journey of a story that makes all the three films even greater individually when you reflect on them as pieces of a truly valuable overall story. It creates, in combination with one another, a bigger picture which is full of lessons, emotions, and wisdom. Granted, the story was already there before even the idea of adapting it to the screen occurred, but that's why it was worth the risk. They didn't know for sure it would be a financial hit before
The Fellowship of the Ring.
They even filmed all of them back to back for obvious creative and financial reasons, never considering to delay or change their direction with the second or third film based on the response of the first one. Adding something additional that's popular with the times. I can't even remember what was popular at the time. Fight Club? Gladiator? Skateboarding?
Yes, considering the Brotherhood did not quite reach the masses we wanted it to upon its initial release, I'm thinking we might want to consider removing some of the scenes filmed and maybe, adding something that's a little more hip with the times. It's the year 2001 right now, just clarifying. And this film, Fight Club, didn't really make bank at the box office, but it's really popular with the teens now. So maybe we do a little switcheroo with the Saruman storyline, What if instead of spawning
Urukais.
or whatever, what if instead of doing that, he starts a fight club, and maybe he brings his wizard friends together and they fight it out, They just fight it out, but wait for it, with magic. I mean, it links perfectly together with how Saruman fought Gandalf in the first film. So, what do you think?
I don't really think that would make the film we're trying to make here any better.
Okay. Listen to this. Instead of Legolas saying, they're taking the hobbits to Isengard. He says they're taking the hobbits to the gladiator arena. You know, Gladiator was one of the highest grossing movies last year.
That doesn't really matter, does it? I mean, it makes no sense.
It's pretty much the same genre and all, so.
The Lord of the Rings is a fantasy.
Yeah?
The Gladiator is not a fantasy. That's real. That actually happened.
Well, you see, what has happened here is that the samurai, wizard man,
Saruman?
yes, he's expanded his fight club into a gladiator arena. You see, and he's recruiting hobbits to fight for gold, and the wizards have started a bidding war on who will win. Isn't that exciting?
Why would we... It still makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Well, Saruman hates hobbits, right?
Yeah, I think we're done here. Are you okay?
Just let me run one more idea by you real quick, okay? Can I, please?
If it's real quick, sure,
Skateboarding is really popular these times, right?
I guess.
Well, the teens love it. So what if when Legolas slide down that shield, on that shield during the Battle of Helm's Deep, he does a kickflip at the end, and then and we get Tony Hawk in a cameo as one of these elves, and he says to him when he lands, he says,
"God damn, that's a hell of a kickflip. I couldn't have done it better myself." Yeah, we're leaving.
No. Please.
The power marketing agents have gained in the industry of creative work is kind of lame, considering the strategic psychology most often used is so simplistic. I mean, how many movie trailers have you seen that stick out these days? I'm asking because I generally don't know if it's fair to expect original ideas to gain success. At least not unless they're linked to something that has already proven success. I mean, appealing to the already known is of course much more effective, and it links perfectly with the idea of mankind's addiction to consistency.
Hey, remember when there weren't so many Mexicans? Oh, I remember.
Wait, what?
I'm going to shift gears a bit as we get into this topic of consistency and bring in some old wisdom from the man, Ralph Waldo Emerson, who has written a brilliant essay titled Self-Reliance, where he writes, "A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds, adored by little statements and philosophers and divines. With consistency, a great soul has simply nothing to do. He may as well concern himself with his shadow on the wall." Now granted, this text was originally intended to speak to man's connection to the established and bring light to the journey of individuation, a necessary step for mankind to take if we wish not to put locks on our souls and our own freedom by holding it down with the weight of expectation. And how is this related to film trailers and the comparison of movie theaters and streaming services? Well, the ideas connected to what is called the process of individuation are fundamental ones that have the potential to steer our entire society, its culture, history, and future, because our decisions lie not necessarily with the established. For example, you don't have to want or wear the clothes your parents wear, and you don't have to wear or want to wear what you worn yesterday. Or you don't have to watch, show interest, or like the films with the greatest cultural impact, or whatever words someone uses to claim a film's importance over others. The true impact of a film is created through individuals. A mass cannot claim a thing's impact. Speaking for others is not authentic. There's no more true value in a larger number. The numbers game is just a system we've created to bring life to the most simple form of concrete growth we can observe. And an individual's journey of collecting higher numbers and better material has proven over and over again to not give any true long-term fulfillment to that individual. So why do we keep insisting to stay consistent to these kinds of hollow values? It seems we sure don't know any better, or maybe don't want to strive for anything deeper. I don't know for sure, but I know stronger expressions can leave a deeper and more long-lasting impression, something with more value. And I know that watching a film in theater generally leaves a stronger impression simply because of the fact that you set your time aside for this one purpose, because of the implied no interruptions or distractions rules, and of course because of the larger screen and the more complete soundscape. Now, if we can prove the cinematic experience leaves a stronger impression than watching a film at home, and that a film's intention is to leave the strongest impression possible to the viewer, then why is streaming a film more popular? Obviously, because we rather prioritize comfort, convenience, and consistency. So my point is only this: by collectively sacrificing cinema, the movie-going experience, for something like comfort, convenience, and consistency, we are giving away the potential power of a film's impact and impression on us. For what? A quicker option? Isn't the longer wait at a restaurant worth it for a dish with more flavor? We all prioritize differently, but let's really weigh the options before we reach our conclusions. As I said in my previous video, every consumer's choice matters when it comes to shaping the future of what is to be consumed, and whatever role we are playing throughout our lives, it is better played if we acknowledge ourselves as individuals and not just one in a dozen. Sounds good, man.